Welcome to Zanaco Unplugged Season 2. So, Zanaco Unplugged is a podcast series that takes you on a journey inside Zambia's biggest bank, where we have conversations with business leaders, innovators, creatives, as well as pioneers. So when you think of the business world, we focus on topics such as business, environment in organizations, sustainability and innovation, and of course, tech. So when you think about Zanaco Unplugged, think about all those conversations that are taking place and are shaping the business environment. My name is Rose Sibisi, and I am super delighted to be your host for Zanaco Unplugged Season 2. What is so special about Season 2 is that this year, Zanaco turns 55. And what a better way to talk about how they've reached this far than to deal with a conversation that is talking about business agility. But I can't speak about this alone. I have two dynamic gentlemen in the room with me today, and we're going to have a conversation around how do we manage and look at achieving business agility. Guess who I have with me today? What a better person to have in the room than Komba Malukutila, MD, MTN Momo. How are you doing, Komba?
Oh, Rosie, it's always nice to see you. Always nice to be in your graces. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So happy to see you in a different dynamic. And I said, you know the other side.
This is it. So, when I came and I saw it's you hosting the podcast, I said, am I with my chair, my leader, or
which
my
one
friend?
is it? Let's focus. Cheyo, you're here to neutralize that. So Cheyo is our head of agriculture banking under Zanaco Business Banking. And you are definitely in the topic that everybody's talking about, the agriculture space.
Especially this year.
Especially this year. I can imagine. It's like, ooh, what's happening in there? Then when we talk agility, that's what we should be talking about.
Exactly. Things are changing rapidly.
Yeah.
Climate change is one of those things people used to think is far and distant, but it's now home. So this is the space where agility is required.
And everything in your lane.
Exactly.
Everybody's talking agriculture.
Yes.
So you have to hold that thought. You're in the right place at the right time. We want to hear from you on how we're going to remain agile in these times. But first, I want to find out from you, Komba, looking at your journey and where you're at and the changes that have happened in your space. Just share with us what business agility means to you as a person. How do you navigate that?
Oh, wow. So business agility for me comes with a lot of buzzwords, hey? First of all, Komba himself.
Yeah.
I am a 35-year-old CEO for a multinational. You can imagine how many decisions I have to make on my toes. And in a market that is as dynamic as our market. Not easy.
Yeah.
You can imagine changes every time, whether it's in the microeconomy or the macroeconomy. You know the year that we're in. There's been a lot of dynamic things going on.
Yeah.
I think my favorite is the load shedding,
We didn't even know we were going to have lights on this set today.
telling you. But, as human beings, what is very interesting about us is we adapt.
Yeah.
And what helps us adapt is agility. And in 2024, the world over, the most important currency is how susceptible are you to change? And it's Charles Darwin, one of my favorite philosophers, who said it is not the most intelligent or the smartest of species that will succeed. It's the ones that are most adaptable to change. So in an economy or environment that is tough, there's people who fall and there are those that fly. Sink or swim, Untwandi. You know what?
Definitely.
Paddling. So to me, that's what it is, that leaders, individuals alike are going to have to be change advocates.
True.
And that's what you make a success out of any business or any environment, is how agile are you? You look at your ecosystem, you look at your environment, you quickly assess, and you make sound, graceful, and emphasis on graceful decisions.
Good.
Yeah.
So that's you as a person. And I love how you unpack it and talk about, as a person, the adjustments that need to be made, especially with anything that is happening around you. So how would you bring that into the business context in an organization? How does an organization adapt to business agility? And just after you, then I'll cross over to Cheyo.
100%. And thank you so much for that question. For businesses, it's very critical, and businesses of all sizes, whether it's a multinational, it is an SME, or it's an individual Tamanga business, you must be able to adapt for change.
Yeah.
You must be able to adapt with agility. But how do you actually do that? You assess in your environment, what are the opportunities that you're doing with?
Yeah.
And to what extent are you prepared for those opportunities? I call success opportunity meeting preparation. So very, very critical to prepare. Also very critical to prioritize. And I cannot help but bring this context home. You know, in the mobile money environment that we operate in, the conversations are always agile. We're dealing with customers from all spheres.
I can imagine.
It is high-value customers, medium-value customers, and mass market. And each and every one of them are important to us. And their needs are very diverse. Every day, in very practical terms, as a team, we have to stand up and say, what are we prioritizing for today? And how are we responding critically to the needs of our customers? And I don't think that it's any different from an organization like Zanaco. We work very much in collaboration, and Cheyo will tell you that we're on calls every day trying to make sure that we respond to customer needs. We've got many interlinking environments, the biggest one being our agent base. Did you know that MTN and Zanaco share an agent base? And we make sure that we resolve for their needs. Agents today would not be able to transact would it not be for partners like Zanaco.
So when we see these booths, so there's MTN, there's Zanaco, Zapit, and all, it's not so much competition. It's actually
complementary, actually.
There we go.
There is a lot of synergies between these people doing business. And do you know what actually dictates this? The demand. They themselves would design an ecosystem. We will just be responding and automating for those needs. So whilst there's been a big myth about us as MNOs and the banks competing, no, the services are actually quite complementary.
They work
the two are not mutually exclusive. We actually have to work together to be able to deliver those services. But how did we design these bespoke services and be able to take them to market? Agility. We thought on our toes. There was a CEOs to CEO, manager to manager, person to person discussion that happened and say, sit down in a room and resolve for the agricultural sector. And I know you're going to Cheyo, but one of the things that is very interesting is how we make payments, especially in this time of drought. Another emergency that we've had to respond to. He will tell you that we're working together with donor funds to make sure that we can pay Zambians at the very last mile in response to the disaster crisis that has been declared by the DMMU. So we make sure that we're at the last mile. The banks make sure that they're able to finance those transactions and make sure that it's possible. So, but only in the wake of crisis, you see human beings adapting. How do those conversations start? Environments like Zanaco Unplugged.
Business agility.
This is it.
So what I'm hearing from Komba also speaks to speed and quality performance. So with what he's talking about, clearly all of you are thinking on your feet and you are like, we need solutions like fast. So Cheyo, at what point do you see the intertwine happening between speed and quality performance that doesn't compromise on business agility, delivering solutions to the now world and the now demand?
Yeah, so the now world is that they want the service or product delivered like yesterday. Everyone wants the product to be on their shelf today and not tomorrow. And for us as a business, and where I come from, we are in a very high regulated environment where risk is important, but at the same time, we've got changing customer needs and dynamics. You know, their tastes are changing every day. So for us, speed becomes very important because we're also learning as we go along. We learn as we go with our customers. We are in an environment where once we deliver a product or a service, we learn from the customers. We perfect the product, we perfect the service, you know, as we go with the customers. So we need to be agile enough. But at the same time, while we are agile, you know, in this environment, we can't afford to slack behind because things are changing. We've often said that change now is become a norm. Change is not something that we should be able to be scared of. We need to embrace it because that's where we pick our sweet spot.
That's true.
That's why you pick your blue ocean opportunities. It's in places where it's rare. It's going to places where often people are not going. And that's why it's cause for speed because not so many are able to respond that quickly.
So in that sweet spot, speed or perfection? Where does Zanaco find the balance?
We find our balance in the speed. We must be first.
Yes.
We pride ourselves to be first in what we do, and we must go first to market. We must respond because the customer's needs, we must respond to them. We can't wait until you perfect because our customers' needs are also evolving. So while you're spending a lot of time trying to perfect, your customers' needs are changing. So speed becomes very important, that you deliver and learn. That's how agility is supposed to be, is that you learn with your customers and you improve on your product because it's less cost in terms of your rollout.
Okay, so agility, as I'm hearing it, to me as a 2-year-old, is this rubber band for this yin and yang. So you're pulling from both directions, but you find the sweet spot.
That's
So
right.
this sweet spot, Komba, where can you just give us an example of some of the balancing and teamwork and partnerships that MTN, that you are now MD of MTN Momo, and also Zanaco? What can you give us some background on some of the partnerships that you're working on? You've already highlighted through some agents and financial programs and interventions. Where is this partnership between MTN and Zanaco, and what are the benefits?
Oh, there are multiple examples I could give. The first thing is when we implemented our service 10 years ago, this service was really just a wallet. It was to then enable party A to send money to party B and vice versa.
Yeah.
We quickly realized along that journey that we would not be able to navigate this in isolation.
True.
That there was need for us to actively collaborate with financial institutions. Did you know that the biggest partner bank that MTN Mobile Money has right now is Zanaco?
Seriously?
But that was leveraging their enhanced and vast branch network.
Okay.
And agents themselves quickly jumped onto it because Zanaco was already in the process of developing the giant that they now refer to as Zanaco Express. What did that create for? Easy synergies for the agents that we had with the Zanaco agents to be able to move float between one another.
Okay.
Most important thing that they were resolving for is the customer. At the end of the day, speed. You do not want to go to an outlet and the customer says, there's no float, there's no cash. The agent will respond. Maybe MTN in other instances, we don't have access to float and cash. But the ball doesn't end there. If there is a Zanaco machine just next to you, the agent to say, just give me a moment. I will transfer from my Zanaco wallet into my MTN wallet and be able to service you. So those synergies were very critical. We quickly integrated our platforms directly onto Zanaco platforms. Also, agents and customers are able to deposit into a Zanaco bank account, all right, and generate e-money directly onto their mobile money wallet. Those are incredible synergies. So when you see a Zanaco outlet, it's an MTN outlet. See an MTN outlet, it's a Zanaco outlet. Why? Because directly from your MTN wallet, you can transfer funds onto your Zanaco bank account. So synergies like that made for excellent business. And it is the reason why I know I was called on this discussion because there was need for Zanaco to validate synergistic relationships like the ones that we are forming now. But I also want to add one more thing. And we are here in the prestigious Innovation Lab. And I really, really uphold the bank for being easily an inaugural bank in creating an innovation lab. Do you know why they created this lab?
Tell me.
To encourage for innovation, but especially experimentation. There is no innovation without experiments. You need to create space for people to be able to try out new things. And to think. It's a think tank. And it doesn't always mean that your initial ideas will work. Sometimes there's failure. But did you know there is no innovation without failure? We learn from mistakes.
We do.
The greatest of innovations came after failure. So people love to learn how, and agility also encourages you to learn how to fail, but fail quick. You get to the ground, you quickly rotate, up you go.
And there, keep moving. Speaking of quick, Cheyo, that's your favorite language, the speed. The speed. So in ensuring that we go for the speed and the agility, and of course we now have the background of innovation, I know that much as you said speed versus perfection, we go for speed. But there's also the balancing of multiple tasks while trying to maintain agility. This is critical. So can you share your experiences when it comes to managing competing priorities as well as deadline? But still harnessing the speed that you're talking about, because the other side of the fence for you is the customer. So how do you balance that from your own experiences?
I think for me, in order for me to be able to balance, I need to have a bigger picture. And that's how I figure out what is important, what is critical. Having a bigger picture mentality does help create a balance, because you focus on what's important. Now, oftentimes there's also a discussion to say you should multitask. While multitasking can create you not being able to deliver, what is expected. So focus on what is important. For me is extremely the thing that I look out for. Then also in your team, work as a team. Part of our values as Zanaco is teamwork. That's why there are different people with different skill sets that sit in your team. They complement you so that you're able to deliver, because some of them are stronger, some of them are weaker. So being in a team and creating teamwork also allows you to be able to, deliver in a very competing and also busy environment. You also need to be able to grow capacity of skills of your people.
True.
It's extremely important that in this environment, you also have skill set that are able to, see opportunities and be able to know what's important and what's critical for the business.
So, as we're coming to a close of this conversation, I'm going to take you right back to the beginning. When you were giving a background of your space, you spoke about some of the dynamics that have impacted the agriculture space, climate change, and we're dealing with a drought in the country at the moment. So from your experience, and as Zanaco turns 55, she's old now, she's half a century, you've seen that. That's crossing over. So how does then she or he as Zanaco then adapt in your space to the agility that is needed in the agriculture sector, but still maintain the strength of staying in a business environment? What would your advice to 55-year-old Zanaco be?
Yeah, so while we are 55, we still feel very young. We feel very youthful.
As old as you feel.
Feel very youthful. And while we're 55, we also want to learn.
Yeah.
And that's how we embrace, this change. We want to learn. And we are continuously learning. Part of our values is to learn. Learn from our customers. Learn from our failures. Learn from our successes. All this is what is in our bag, and we would like to make use of that and see how we propel this. Coming to the sector I'm in and how we deliver that, ours is to be able to deliver continuous improvement.
Sure.
People always did food. While there's been drought, Rose, to tell you, there are people planning to plant, 100%. Irrespective of the drought.
Agility.
Life has to go on. Fall gracefully, as Komba put it, and move on. And that's what farmers are known for, is that they're agile enough, but they're also resilient.
That's right.
They're resilient. There are many times things have gone their way, against their way, but they have picked up. And as Zanaco, with so many years of our successes and failures, we failed before. There are times when we've not delivered, but we've learned a lot. And we are very mature, but very young to deliver what we think will be good for us.
Dust yourself up and get going. Keep going.
Yeah. And I'd like to just pick it up in a parting shot that, I'm very passionate about the youth, but especially the women. Right. So I am a feminist, but I'm also a youth advocate. And I've got a perfect example on our set of agility, So there's a lady called Rose Bisi, and she goes by many titles. She's a master of ceremonies, entrepreneur. She's the CEO incorporated of Star with Roses. She is my board chair. But with that many titles comes a lot of agility required. Because at the end of the day, she is a woman. And you know that it's tougher to do business as a woman, especially in our environment. But to be able to implement that level of agility that you've done is a good example to SMEs and the young people out there who have to come up and navigate for business. Zanaco does Z Women Banking.
Yeah.
It offers solutions to enable people like you be successful in your business. And testament to that, you won an award. So,
well, this is not about this. I really appreciate it, but I hear what you're saying.
I like to give a very critical example in terms of how agility is very critical in the business world.
True.
But how do you succeed is the structures. you've got to be able to implement structure so that the various things that you're doing can succeed on their own, running whilst you're attending to different things, especially responding to these tough economic times that we live in. So I think you've done very well for yourself.
Oh, thank you.
Where agility is concerned, and you're the perfect example to close with.
Oh, thank you so much. And as we come to a close, what closing remarks would you have to wish Zanaco very well for their 55 years? What would you tell a 55-year-old Zanaco?
Oh, wow.
What should they continue doing, stop doing, look out for?
I am not equal to the task to tell the giant that is big, strong, and reliable how to do their work. I can only wish them well on this continued journey, Cheyo. And a special message to your entire team that we are behind you as partners, rooting for you and cheering you on all the way. And agility comes on the back of active collaboration, and we'll continue to collaborate together to ensure the successes of ultimately our shared customers. So thank you so much for inviting me on this podcast.
Thank you, Komba.
So the other thing about agility is we could go on and on and on. But as much as this conversation has been so enriching, so insightful, and very knowledgeable with the two able gentlemen that I've had with me in this conversation, we've really tackled some of the issues around business agility. And in this conversation, we hope that you've learned one or two things about business agility, even as a person and an organization. So keep glued to Zanaco Unplugged. We've got many more brilliant conversations that will transform your mind, change your life, and allow you to get back on track. But most importantly, keep agility at the back of your mind. Until the next time, this has been Rose CBC speaking to Komba Malukutila and Cheyo Mwenechanya on Zanaco Unplugged. See you next time.